I know some people, mostly the hardcore wrestling fan base in the IWC, were very upset that their beloved wrestlers, especially like Bronson Reed, Bobby Fish, and Mercedes Martinez, and even Jake Atlas, these guys that a lot of people don't know, all of a sudden were released out of the blue during SmackDown this past Friday night. And I'm going to tell you right now that they'll be fine. They'll find work elsewhere. After their 30 days are up, they'll find work at in AEW and Impact, Ring of Honor to do their uncharismatic, flippy, fucky, flips and kicks, no selling bullshit that WWE is clearly not going to be into anymore. I think this is a transition of WWE is getting dead ass tired of the flips, kicks, and all that bullshit. I think that's what they're trying to signal. We want that to get the fuck out. Because they did all of us a favor by not having these jobbers be on our TV screen. I'm not trying to say that I'm happy they lost their jobs, but again, this is me trying to say, if they're not doing their jobs well, if they're not working on the most important aspects, like storytelling, clear-cut storytelling, characters, promos, vignettes, all those important things that will grasp a non-fan in saying, hey, maybe I want to see this wrestler or this storyline, then you're going to get cut. You are going to get cut. These guys that were released, these guys and gals that were released, they were all boring. They were all boring, nameless, uncharismatic jobbers. Like, who knew these people outside the hardcore wrestling bubble? Like, again, all they did was flips, kicks, dives, and with the Bronson Reed, he probably did a few power moves, but that's it. This was all no nonsense, no selling bullshit. So WWE continued to do what they've been doing since the last year, and that's cut all the dead weight that they've been hoarding for the last near decade. And they honestly should have been doing this for since 2017. They've been hoarding talent, and I'm glad they're doing it now, but they should have been doing this a long while ago. So back to the NXT thing. They're all jobbers that most actual fans didn't and probably will never know. So I'm just wondering, how are you going to convince someone to know who the heck Bobby Fish is when they never seen an NXT show or a Raw SmackDown in their life? So if I went up to someone and tried to show them a clip of Bobby Fish or a picture of Bronson Reed on my phone, they'd probably ask me, is that Jordan Reed from the 49ers or from the NFL? Or is that a kind of fish that you need at the supermarket? Do you want me to give you money to buy you this kind of brand of reed? The clarinet reed or whatnot? That's what I'm getting at. This problem of every company in pro wrestling not telling you who these wrestlers are. Specifically, the ones that have national TV contracts in WWE and AEW. They expect you to know who they are already. Or either that, or they make you use the power of Google, Wikipedia, or YouTube when it's their job to tell you who they are. Sell you on who they are through vignettes, promos, interviews. The basic things that got people over, like Rey Mysterio, the Hurricane, all Eddie Guerrero, all the guys that seemed like jobbers but actually got over during the Ruthless Aggression era. What's the problem with doing one promo every so often? It's like saying, oh, America's Got Talent or American Idol, not editing a bio, a brief showcase on these performers. where they come from, or what's their story prior to their auditions. Like, it makes no sense. And that's why each wrestler on this NXT list, they feel like an afterthought. They'll still feel that way because the casual viewer or normal person, they don't feel any somewhat interested in a Bronson Reed or a Mercedes Martinez because they don't know who they are. They don't know what their gimmick is. They don't know what their character is. Like, they don't know anything about them. Like, they're interested in a Bray Wyatt because they know he's a children's show host character in disguise, but when he transformed into this demented monster, they know what he's capable of. But with a Bronson Reed, all they know is like, oh, he can do moves. That's it. So maybe it's time for these wrestlers to stop being so entitled to the fact that they can save pro wrestling with just long, athletic, yet boring gymnastic matches. I mean, if I wanted to watch that, I can just watch the NFL. Or, in the case of the Olympics, which are ending, by the way, I could have just watched wrestling on the Olympics. I could have just done that. So, guys, Vince McMahon and Nick Khan did all of us a favor by releasing these wrestlers. I know they'll find work elsewhere, so they can do their flips and kicks and all their other crap in elsewhere. But they're doing us a favor by keeping the people that have the tangibles in pro wrestling. The most important tangibles, the personality, the characters, the clear-cut storylines, the charisma. That's what sells in pro wrestling. None of those guys, with the exception of Bray Wyatt and, I don't know, Ric Flair is Ric Flair. The NXT guys in particular did not draw a dime in pro wrestling. They didn't draw any merchandise for the normal person, non-fan, the casual fan, none of them. And if you say, "Oh, fuck the casuals, they don't give a shit. We want them away from our precious pro wrestling," then pro wrestling, that's why pro wrestling is deader than ever, because of gatekeeping and no franchise stars. It's pretty much like, I don't know, the New York Jets. Like, that's how I put it. They're either the New York Jets or the Oklahoma City Thunder. That's my analogy of the freaking state of pro wrestling. More specifically, WWE and AEW.